Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Char Chai Chatter Hum Pakistani UAE se. Today we are with a very special couple because they have undertaken a very huge task in memory of their daughter. So we are today with Akbar Naqvi and his beautiful wife Danny. Akbar recently ran 200 kilometers, almost 43 hours in Al Qudra Desert. Why did he do it? Let's talk to him about it. Hello Akbar, Assalamu alaikum both of you. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Thank you for having us.
You're most welcome to the show. So the thing is, you recently ran a marathon, you did something that normal humans wouldn't do. Exactly. It was so hot and it was really 43 hours is not a small time. It took you 2 days. Why did you do it?
So basically, I'm into this sport called ultra marathons, which is basically anything that you run more than 50 kilometers is considered an ultra marathon. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing this for, I'd say, the last 2 years. I've been running these different races, and it's a part of my challenge. It grows me as an individual, but I also do it for a very important reason, and it's very close to something that Danny and I are. It's a passion project of ours, and that's for our charity in Pakistan that we do in the name of our late daughter Zara. So when you run for something very big, you can do anything you want. So
all right, before I come to the details of your run, how it happened and what exactly you did, tell me about Zara.
Sure. Danny, you want to?
So we adopted Zara at birth from the north of Pakistan, and I think she was just everything we'd always wanted, and I think we had to wait so long to get her that I kind of had this visualization of what she would look like. And she was quite long, she had lots of hair, she had bright red lips, and she was just the most beautiful little baby we'd ever seen. And she was absolutely perfect. Spent our time in Pakistan, brought her back to Dubai, took her to the doctor to just do another test. We'd had many tests in Pakistan at the time, and the doctor asked us if she had a newborn screening test. And I said, I don't know what that is. And he said, oh, don't worry, it doesn't matter. We go about our normal life, go back to the UK. As we're coming back from the UK,
after Christmas,
she's about 3 months old now. She was really deteriorating.
When was this? Which year?
So we got her in 2011. And she started to really deteriorate. She couldn't lift her head up straight. She was very weak. She was vomiting. She was drooling all the time. But she was such a smiley, happy baby that she never cried. So I think as a first-time mum, if she'd have been crying, it would have really shown more alert for me. But because she was always happy and smiling and never really complained, we just thought it was maybe her development or whatever. So one particular day she was vomiting so much that I took her to see a doctor in Dubai who was her pediatrician, and he said, you need to give her thicker formula. She has reflux. And it didn't seem right to me, but I did what he said, and that night we made her formula thicker. Next morning Akbar had to fly to Pakistan. I wake up and Zara's blue in her cot. And basically she was choking, but she wasn't strong enough to make so much noise. So I picked her up, took her to the hospital, and to cut a long story short, she was in hospital for 17 days fighting for her life. And it came back after many, many tests that the same question was asked to us: has she had a newborn screening test? She never. Pakistan is one of the only countries in the world that do not screen their babies. And this is a test that in the West is mandatory.
It's taken for granted.
And every baby from 24 to 72 hours of being born has this test.
We have it in the UAE as well.
We have it
normal,
in the UAE.
Normal.
It tests for up to 40 diseases. It's standard. But Pakistan have never had this test before.
So tell me, Danny, how is this test done?
So this test, basically, it's just a small heel prick test. So it's a small sample of blood from a baby's heel.
So the moment the baby is born, they just automatically, the nurse will come in and they'll just take a little sample of blood from the baby's heel and then send it away for analysis. That's all it takes.
It's a very, very simple test, but if Pakistan hadn't done it, Zara hadn't been tested. And the doctor we saw here mentioned it but never followed it through. Now, in Dubai, for example, every baby is tested, but the results, the sample bloods, are sent to either Jordan, Saudi, Germany or America. So even though they're not all tested here, they are done mandatory. Now, this test can test up to 40 different diseases. These diseases could be literally managed by changing the baby's diet, or they could be lifelong diseases.
So if there's any deformity in the baby, this obviously test will pick it up, and then the doctor and the parents will know if maybe there's something wrong with it. So then you can immediately start treating that illness.
Zara's case, they couldn't.
Never knew.
We never knew, and unfortunately, she had a very rare metabolic disorder called glutaric acidemia type 2, and actually hers was so rare it was 1 in 250,000. But believe it or not, if she'd have had the newborn screening test, we would have known her disease from birth. And unfortunately, the hardest thing at first for us to deal with was every single feed she was having, all the formula was actually killing her. And normally babies that have what she has, and to the extent that she had, wouldn't have made a couple of days, a couple of weeks. She managed to last 4 months with fighting for her life for 17 days in hospital, with every organ in her body failing one by one.
Right. So obviously, I mean, once Zara left you, it just devastates parents. You know, it's a big impact on you guys. So what normally parents, you know, would like move on. They would, obviously you'd never forget a child who's been part of your life, but then you guys didn't do that. You took it a step further.
We did.
Exactly. I think what happened, even though we lost Zara, because we'd been waiting for her, we'd always said we were going to adopt. Whatever came first, natural children or adoption, I said the only way we can move on is to adopt another baby, or to have our own baby right now, but that would take 9 months. So it was like, well, we need to try again. And the funny story is we were actually doing Zara's headstone a month to the day she died, and we got a phone call that there was another baby waiting for us. And that baby now is our daughter Amara, who is 8 years old. And after getting Amara, 3 months later I was pregnant with twins. So we felt that every single miracle that could have happened to us happened because of Zara.
That's so beautiful, mashallah. So then, how does your running come in between all of this?
So obviously, to extend from what we felt why Zara came into our lives, we then realized that there was a deeper purpose to it, and the newborn screening was something that became very important to us. So we said, if we're going to do anything, we're going to set up a charity in her name that's going to promote the awareness and the use of newborn screening. So we set this charity up about 70 to 80 years ago. So a large part of our life, whatever we do, is always connected to Zara and is always connected to the charity. So when recently I started doing these ultra marathons and, you know, pushing myself physically, it aligned very well with my charity. So the way I say it is, I do run for myself, I do run for my kids, but I also run for the babies of Pakistan. And through my running and through doing these different challenges, we're promoting the awareness of newborn screening in Pakistan, and we're promoting the fact that newborn screening in Pakistan should become a birthright, because all over the world, anywhere in most developed countries, it's a birthright that whenever a baby is born, you automatically have this newborn screening test. So why not Pakistani babies? So that's what we're working to.
So your charity ZB has already conducted a lot of. When was it set up actually, and how many tests has?
We set it up in. It was about 2013 by the time we got our first machine into the country.
Actually.
Yes, because even though we've got our partners, we're basically or officially a lab, a blood sampling laboratory. So every baby that we test, we have to put their samples through a machine. And this machine we got given by our partners called Perkin Elmer. And
Finnish kind of.
It's a Finnish company, but it took 1 year for that machine to get into Pakistan. Actually, since we've been operating, we've tested over 35,000 babies in the country. and we're the only screening facility in the country and the only machine in the country.
So this has been set up in Islamabad, is it?
Yes, and we provide it free of cost. And what we've done is we've got into agreements with hospitals and clinics all over Pakistan now. I think I think 35 to 40 hospitals and clinics have agreements in place with us that whenever a baby is born in their hospital or clinic, they will send the blood sample to our lab, and then we will send the results back to them. And then if anything happens, the results, whatever they indicate, the doctor will tell the patient. And the beautiful thing about this particular story that I want to share with your audience is when we got the machine after 1 year, and the first ever test we did, a doctor found out about us. So he came to our lab, he came to our doctor, and the one who operates our lab, and he said, I have a family who have been having babies, and so far 3 of their babies have died at birth. And the parents can't figure it out, and I can't figure it out. Can you help us? So this was the first test we did from our lab. And the test told us that the 2 parents actually biologically, because of DNA, are not compatible. They cannot have babies together. But the beautiful thing is when we told the doctor and the doctor told the parents actually wrote to us and they said, we want to thank the ZB Foundation because we finally have the answer.
I think as a mother losing your child, and that lady lost 4 children, she would have thought, what was happening to me? What's happening to my body? Why my babies? She got the answers that nobody could give her. And that first family that we looked after really showed us the importance and the need in the charity. And we're so fortunate now with educating doctors, nurses, and families that this test does not hurt your baby. It's a simple heel prick test that will save your baby's life.
And if you take the examples of the rest of the world, the reason why this test is so important, other than protecting the baby, it actually has a very long-term impact. Because if you think about it, baby mortality and infant mortality gets eliminated, but also at the same time, if you find out the disease beforehand, you can treat the baby, so you don't have problems down the line. So actually, it's less of a burden on the healthcare system of Pakistan.
Right. So that actually brings me to, are you planning anything with the Pakistan government, actually going on that level, telling them, okay, this is really important? And
absolutely. I think what's happened with us is now that we have a track record, we've got at least 5 to 6 years of operations, we've tested so many babies, so now we have enough evidence to go, and the evidence is medical evidence. So all our lab technicians and our doctors who are working in our labs, they actually use this as data points that they can write papers on, because we can see from this data sample which diseases are prevalent in which parts of Pakistan and etc. So we're using this data point to have discussions with the government on a provincial level, on a national level. Ultimately, this has to be done by the Pakistani government at a national level. If you look at all the examples all over the world, even like Egypt, even like Pakistan, even like the Philippines, now the newborn screening infrastructure is all over these countries, but it was started by the government. So it has to be done by the government at the end of the day.
Actually, I just personally think that the Pakistan government should take care of these issues with the help of so many of, people coming forward to help.
I think the hardest thing for people to understand is because our test is not tangible, so you don't see a sickness. It's a preventative sickness. So people don't really understand it, and then they think taking a little sample of blood from the baby's heel will hurt them. We have to stress that this is only going to save their life, even if it's just a simple disease that is managed by diet, which maybe the child can't have dairy. It just means you have to have a different formula.
Yeah. And I think what is a test that keeps coming up in the throat one, this very prevalent.
It's thyroid.
Thyroid. Because in Pakistan, thyroid is a major issue.
Females.
Exactly. So a lot of our tests bring that up. So then all they have to do is they have to change their diet or just do these simple medicines. But at least you have the answers, and you can create. What happens in the West is if it's in a certain part of the country, based on these newborn screening, they see there's some prevalent of some kind of disease, then they put the systems in place or the medicines in place to eliminate that disease.
Actually, thyroid has a very long-term impact. As the child grows, the growth is actually, there's a lot of retardation. Right, Akbar, I just want to come to your marathon you had one recently in last month right, August some date. So what was it all? How did it start and what actually happened? How tough was it?
So I always, when I do these runs for the charity, I always try to push myself to the limit, because I do feel that us as humans, we always put these boundaries in our minds, but there are actually no boundaries. And the more I've trained for this and the more I've done these races, I've realized even me as an individual, there are no boundaries. The perceived boundaries don't exist. We only put these boundaries in place. So I'm learning a lot about this. So this particular challenge I put to myself was that I was going to run 200 kilometers in the Dubai desert in the middle of summer. But I trained for it. I trained 6 months for it. I put a proper process in place to be successful in it. But I knew that it would challenge me and it would be tough. But I knew that whenever I reached that boundary, or that perceived boundary, I could overcome it. And I did. And it took me 2 days. But I achieved it in the end. But,
what was the temperature like?
44 to 50 degrees.
Oh goodness. So were you take stops in between? Were you alone?
The plan was that every 3 to 5 kilometers, I would take literally a bottle of ice cold water and pour it over my head, just to keep my core temperature down. So that's how I controlled my temperature. And actually, again, you think, oh my God, 44 degrees. The temperature was not actually a factor for me, because it just became normal. Because the more your body and your mind are incredible instruments. They can adapt to any condition. So eventually my body and my mind accepted the fact that there's 44 degrees out there and you just keep going. So, and I adapted myself to that.
Well, which was the most difficult bit of the entire run?
Yeah, 80 kilometer, huh?
Yeah, I think the 80 kilometer mark, my feet became very bad. So from that point onwards, I was having blisters at the bottom. That's hopefully you cannot see my feet.
Of course.
Not very attractive.
But so my feet became really bad, and I had blisters at the bottom of my feet, and it was very hard to, literally step on them. But I still had to keep running and keep walking. And then it was just a question of mind over matter, because I still knew I had this ultimate goal to achieve. And I kept going. The pain it was there, but it sat at the back of my mind. It didn't overwhelm me. I knew it was there. I had to deal with it. So it was another obstacle I had to overcome. And in those situations, when you run for something bigger than you can overcome the pain.
I can see you have a very strong mind. It's very easily you can take it over your body. So you can do that. So as a couple, both of you, what would you like to tell the audience? Would you like to give tips, any advice to the people who would like, or maybe don't know, are not aware of the kids having to go for newborn testing?
I think the number one message that we need to get across is, once you have a baby, or if you are pregnant, call your hospital, speak to your doctor, and ask him for a newborn screening test.
The moment the baby is born.
It is free from the ZB Foundation. Go onto our website, call one of our agents who are happy to speak to you about anything, any questions you have. Don't be scared. It is a life-saving test, and it's free of charge. If you want your baby to have the best start in life, this is the best test to give them.
Yeah, and why not your baby should get what the rest of the babies around the world are getting? And it's not even a question, like sometimes, obviously, people will think, well, why do I need the test? My baby's going to be healthy. It's fine. 90% of the time the baby will be healthy. But you just want to, make sure that you get the best start in life. Like everywhere now in the world, the parents assume that my baby's going to be fine from birth. And having this test is part of that process,
That's a very beautiful passion, mission, and all the details are, I'm very sure they're very helpful to the audience. Thank you, both of you. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show. आप लोगों के लिए, अगर आप पाकिस्तान से देख रहे हैं, if you're watching from Pakistan, please make note of the important points Akbar and Danny have said. It's really important to get your children tested. There's no harm in it. As soon as the baby is born, it's just a tiny prick. The baby won't even notice. It's a little drop of blood that comes out, and in the end, it's for the long-term betterment of your child. And as both of them said, ZB Foundation offers is free. Do visit their website, have a look at it. और अगर आपके डॉक्टर नहीं करते हैं, please ask for it. It is going to be for the betterment of your child and for the betterment of all children of Pakistan. With this, we'll come back again next time with a bigger story, and inshallah until next time, Allah Hafiz.